What's up YouTube? So it's time for another Bitcoin update, and today I'm gonna try to focus on the weekly close, and I must say guys, it's actually looking pretty good if we can close the weekly up here. So yeah, let's just dive right into the charts. Alright, so here we go. Here's Bitcoin versus the US dollar on the weekly, using Bitstamp as always to chart this. So what I mean by, if we get a weekly close here, that would be pretty bullish in my opinion. And the reason for that is this white line here being the 200 simple moving average, and this purple line here being the 200 exponential moving average. So I remember, we had a lot of noise on Twitter, and basically the sentiment when we lost the 200 weekly moving average was, well, the sentiment turned very bearish, because obviously, as you can see, taking a look at this last low here, I think a lot of people put a lot of weight on the 200 weekly moving average, right? So now that we're actually above that area again, I think a lot of people are, not as worried and panicked about that break, right? So if we get a weekly close above the 200 simple, that would be, in my opinion, bullish from a moving average perspective, at least in the higher time frames. And I mean, looking at this price section right here, it kind of looks like a fake out, right? So and it's also kind of reminiscence of well, actually we never really, I mean, I wouldn't really call this, this a fake out. It's just, a normal bounce. This, however, looks more like a fake out, right? Basically what a fake out is when one candle closes below or above an important level, and the next candle closes back inside, or back, back above or back under. In this case, this candle closed below, and this candle kind of looks like it's going to close above, right? So that's a fake out, right? And you also have the 200 EMA, this purple. If we can close the weekly above that area, I'd be, that would also add to, the bullish scenario on the higher time frames, right? So that's basically all I'm looking at on the weekly right now. So I would like to see a, close above at least the 200 simple on the weekly. Better is a close above the 200 EMA on the weekly, and the best close would probably be, inside this red box resistance right here. So let's go down into the daily to see what's happening, right? And if you guys remember my other videos, I've been my argument has been, actually let's talk about that on the 4 hours. So first of all, very simple stuff on the daily here. We got, well, it's not really, a clean retest, but it looks like, it looks likely that we might actually get a retest of previous range high, and we're getting a lot of action right now actually. So it kind of looks like the previous range high is going to act as actually, let's turn that into green because it's a support. Kind of looks like this is acting as a magnet, right? And we are getting, a possible rounded retest on the daily. It's not a clean one because you have these wicks touching in between the break and retest, right? But I can definitely see this area act as, support before another move higher. And that's pretty much the bullish scenario, right? So going back to the 21 EMA on the daily, this yellow here, my last video I talked about this scenario. We would most likely see the 21 EMA move down into this red box resistance right here, adding some confidence to this level, right? We might get, bullish in there. I'm looking for is a bounce here, move up, break the 21 EMA and daily. I would then long the retest with either a daily close above, or for extra confirmation of a breakout, you could wait for a daily open and close. And if you look at price action here on the daily, you have time to be patient. You always have time to be patient if you're looking to, you know, catch the larger moves. And look at this, we're actually dumping right now down to previous range highs. So it's going to be very interesting to see how price reacts to this area. Let's go back down into the 4 hour. So if you're watching this and well, you're watching live, well, you can't watch this live because it's not live. I'm recording this obviously, but I mean, if you're watching the chart live, I mean, buying this area might not be a bad idea, to be honest. But I'm not, you know, I'm not interested in buying this, because if you look at the 1 hour, I'm not liking this price structure, right? We tested support here, had a bounce, tested here, had a bounce, but we're always getting reacted by this area right here, and we're now coming down for our third retest. So I mean, it's not really looking bullish. And the fact is, you know, the more this level here gets tested, the more likely it becomes that it will actually break down, and you know, we're starting to, you know, trade back into the, you know, inside this previous range. And I'm not interested in like I said in my previous videos, the idea all along was to buy strength, and you know, the strength I was looking for was a bullish break in market structure on the 4 hour. What we're seeing right now is a potential, I mean, we're seeing a potential higher low here and a higher high, but this needs to bounce, you know, today, hopefully, because if we break down here, it kind of invalidates that whole idea. This area right here needs to act as support for this higher low to form, for a move upwards, break the 21 EMA in the daily, form a higher high, come down and test the 21 EMA in the daily, the retest, right, for a higher low. And that's when I want to be buying, right? Either buy here or buy here. So either enter here, layer some bids in this area, right? So basically what I want to see is a new trend forming on the 4 hour. Right now, I'm bullish. I'm bearish on Bitcoin until proven otherwise. And what I mean by that is, if we see that kind of movement on the 4 hour, I will begin, you know, looking at Bitcoin from a more, you know, bullish perspective, I guess. Let's look at the daily. How would that actually look like? When would we start a daily uptrend for Bitcoin? So we have the low here, we have the high here, we have a potential higher low here, and you know, if we get this kind of movement like this, we're looking at a higher high here and a higher low here. And I think if we actually get this kind of movement and bounce here and then close a daily above this area, that would, in my opinion, you know, confirm a bullish break in market structure on the daily. But you gotta remember, guys, if you look at the charts from a higher time frames perspective, really, I mean, this is, gotta remove all of these. So really, this is the level that needs to get reclaimed for, you know, me to become bullish on the higher time frames, right? So this is really the area that needs to be reclaimed. Around, let's say, 7.8k. So around 7.8k, if we get a high time frame close above 7.8k, that's when I think, you know, we'll get a, you know, the big move from Bitcoin. It's always risky looking at the lower time frames to try to, you know, time the moves on the lower time frames, because everything will be so much more clear on the higher time frames, but you're using the lower time frames to get an idea of what's to come on the higher time frames. right? Because if there's a downtrend or an uptrend or a break in market structure, a bullish break or a bearish break, it will always be visible on the lower time frames before they're going to be visible on the high time frames, obviously. But that also means that trading the bullish break in market structure on the lower time frames is riskier than trading it on the higher time frames, because even if you're seeing a market structure form on the lower time frames, you can still be in the opposite market structure on the higher time frames, which means you are trading against the trend. So it's always, you know, riskier to trade lower time frames than the higher time frames, and that should be obvious, right? So what I'm looking for right now is a bullish break in market structure in the 4-hour, which will hopefully translate into the daily, which will hopefully translate into the weekly. All right, when we get a confirmed weekly upturn, that's like super bullish, right? When we get a confirmed break on a daily, that's less bullish, but still very bullish. When I get a confirmed break on the 4-hour, that's not as bullish, but it's still a good sign of what's potentially to come, right? So right now we had this very nice pump from Bitcoin, right? You know, from, you know, the range EQ all the way up here, got reacted by the 21 EMA and the daily, close below this high time frame resistance. So guys, like what I'm saying is, there's a lot of conflicting views right now on Bitcoin's price action for me, because obviously closing the weekly above the 200 simple and or the 200 EMA is bullish, but closing below this area is still bearish because we're at resistance, right? So we need to, you know, make a move higher and, you know, close above this area to be high time frame resistance. But you can still trade this. I mean, you can still trade this, and obviously, like, you know, an obvious trade would have been to, you know, long the previous range high to target the midpoint of this resistance area for you know, a good 9% move. But I'm looking for the bigger moves on Bitcoin. I'm fully in cash right now. I'm fully in fiat, so I'm waiting for that bullish break in market structure to form. And what I mean by that is I'm trying to be extra, you know, careful and extra specific in my explanation, because this is very simple and I don't want to complicate anything. I want to see a higher high. We got the higher high. I want to see a bounce here for a higher low, right? And this type of continuation. That's when I would be buying, or a retest of 21 EMA. So I'm not entering Bitcoin right now. I see a lot of people being super bullish with this move, but guys, it's getting reacted by 21 EMA on a daily. It's getting reacted by high time frame resistance. That's not bullish. I mean, this move is in, you know, if you look at, you know, only this time frame, right? That's a bullish move. But if you zoom out, right? This kind of looks like, you know, a bounce and a bearish retest. So on the low time frames, a potential break in market structure. On the high time frames, not really. It's still looking pretty bearish, but, you know, I'm getting my hopes up. I'm getting my, you know, I'm feeling the hopium if we close above here on the weekly. But be careful, guys. Don't enter Bitcoin with everything you own just because you see a move like this, right? The market is in turmoil. It's pretty fucking crazy out there. Be careful. Preserving your capital is your #1 goal as a trader. And with how the you know, with how the world is looking right now, and the situation we got out there, you gotta, like, the #1 top priority should be to, you know, preserve your capital, take care of your family, and secure your future if shit's really hit the fan, right? And entering Bitcoin now is probably not the most, you know, probably not the best thing to do if we're entering a real crisis. All right, guys, so that's it from me. If you guys like these type of videos, please God damn it, consider subscribing to my channel. That's that. Take care, guys. Bye.